I used to work guest services on a major cruise line. A woman came down to the desk at 3 a.m. in her bathrobe, absolutely furious. She slammed her hand on the counter and demanded a full refund for her suite. Why? Because the water sounds were too loud. We were in the middle of the Atlantic. I explained that she booked an ocean view balcony, and that is the sound of the ocean. She screamed, "Well, turn it off! I thought it was a sound machine." I witnessed a massive brawl at the buffet on all-you-can-eat crab leg night. A large man had literally raked the entire tray of crab legs onto his plate, leaving none for the 50 people in line behind him. When a grandmother politely asked if she could have just one, he threw a butter roll at her face. Security had to tackle him while he was trying to shove crab legs into his cargo shorts pockets to save them for later. On a cruise to Alaska, a passenger asked me one of the most brain-dead questions I have ever heard. We were looking at a glacier, and he tapped me on the shoulder and asked, "What elevation are we at right now?" I looked at him, looked at the water surrounding the ship, and said, "Sir, we are at sea level." He got annoyed and said, "No, I mean like, how high up the mountain are we floating?" He thought the ocean went up the mountains. I was a pool attendant, and the chair hogs are the worst kind of people. One family woke up at 5 a.m. and put towels and books on 12 prime lounge chairs right by the pool, then left for 6 hours. When they finally came back at noon, other people had moved their stuff because the chairs were empty all morning. The father started throwing other people's sunscreen into the pool and threatened to sue the cruise line for theft of property. We had a passenger who was convinced that the ship was fake. He told everyone at the bar that we weren't actually moving, but that the cruise line just projected moving water on screens around the ship to trick us. He tried to prove it by throwing a patio chair off the stern to see if it would hit the screen. He was immediately detained and put off at the next port in Mexico. The fine for throwing furniture into the ocean is astronomical. A lady came to the excursion desk yelling because she missed the ship in Cozumel. She had to pay for a flight to the next port to catch up with us. She demanded the cruise line reimburse her for the flight. Her reasoning? "I didn't change my watch to local time, so it's your fault I was late. The ship should have waited for me because I am a Diamond member. The ship has 4,000 other people on it. We don't wait for anyone." My sister worked in the kids' club. Parents treat that place like a dumping ground, so they can go get wasted for 7 days straight. One couple dropped off a toddler who was clearly sick with a fever and diarrhea. When the staff called the parents to pick him up, they didn't answer. They found the parents 3 hours later passed out in the hot tub. They said, "We paid for a vacation from him, stop calling us," and tried to walk away. I saw a guy trying to fish off his balcony. This is strictly prohibited. Not only was he fishing, but he had brought a full-sized tackle box and a cooler full of raw bait that had been sitting in the sun for days. The smell drifted into the neighbouring balconies. When security came to confiscate his gear, he claimed he was providing fresh catch for the captain's dinner and that we should be thanking him for his service. A woman complained to the maitre d' that the sun was setting on the wrong side of the ship while she was eating dinner. She had requested a window seat specifically to watch the sunset, but the ship had turned to navigate around a storm. She demanded that the captain turn the entire vessel around so she could see the sun go down while she ate her dessert. She actually wrote, "Ruined my sunset" on the comment card. During the mandatory muster drill, safety briefing, which is federal law, a group of frat guys tried to hide in the bathroom so they wouldn't have to stand on the deck. Security found them, and they started arguing that they were expert swimmers, so they didn't need to listen. The captain got on the loudspeaker and announced we wouldn't leave the dock until the gentlemen in cabin 402 stop acting like children. They were booed by the whole ship. Working in housekeeping, you see the grossest things. A family of 4 stayed in a standard interior room. They refused to let us clean for the entire 7-day cruise. On the last day, when they left, the room was a hazmat zone. There were piles of dirty dishes with mouldy food under the beds, and they had been using the shower as a toilet because they clogged the actual toilet on day 2 and were too embarrassed to call a plumber. I had a customer ask me, "Does the crew sleep on the ship?" I thought he was joking. I said, "Yes, sir, we live here for months at a time." He looked genuinely shocked and asked, "So, you don't take a helicopter home every night to see your families?" He thought that every night, thousands of crew members were airlifted off the ship in the middle of the Caribbean and flown back to the Philippines or India, then flown back for breakfast. A very wealthy-looking couple demanded a table by the window in the main dining room. When they were told all window tables were taken, the husband pulled out a wad of $100 bills and tried to bribe the hostess. When that didn't work, he walked over to a couple sitting by the window who were on their honeymoon and offered to buy their seats. The honeymooners refused, so the rich guy stood next to their table staring at them while they ate. We had a port shopping talk where they recommend stores. A woman interrupted the presenter to ask if the jewelry stores in the Bahamas accept American Express from Texas. Not just American Express, but specifically from Texas. She thought her credit card was only valid in the state she lived in. She also asked if the people in the Bahamas speak Bahamian, or if she needed a translator app on her phone. Someone tried to smuggle alcohol on board by filling mouthwash bottles with blue food colouring and vodka. The problem was they used way too much food colouring. By the second day of the cruise, this guy was walking around the pool deck with his entire mouth, teeth and lips stained a deep, permanent Smurf blue. Security spotted him instantly because he looked like he'd been chewing on a dye pack. He insisted it was a rare tropical gum disease. The toilet system on a cruise ship relies on a vacuum. It is very sensitive. We had to shut down the water for an entire deck because someone flushed a whole turkey leg down the toilet. When we traced it to the cabin, the guy admitted it. He said, "I didn't finish my room service and I didn't want the room to smell like turkey, so I flushed it." He caused about $10,000 worth of damage to the plumbing system. I worked in the spa. A lady booked a deep tissue massage and then spent the entire 50 minutes screaming at me because I wasn't fixing her cellulite. She thought a massage was like a medical procedure where I could just rub the fat away. When the session was over and she still looked the same, she refused to pay the gratuity and told my manager that I had weak hands and didn't squeeze the fat hard enough. A passenger on a Mediterranean cruise was furious that she couldn't see the Eiffel Tower from the ship while we were docked in, wait for it, Rome. She came to the shore excursion desk and accused us of false advertising. I had to pull out a map of Europe and show her that Paris is hundreds of miles away from the coast of Italy. She stared at the map and said, "Well, this map is obviously wrong because I paid for a European view." We had a formal night where the dress code is suits and evening gowns. A guy showed up to the main dining room in a dripping wet bathing suit, no shirt and no shoes. When the head waiter told him he couldn't enter, he started screaming about his constitutional rights. We are on a ship flagged in Panama in international waters. Your American constitutional right to dine shirtless does not apply here, buddy. One passenger asked the captain during a Q&A session, "If the ship sinks, does the buffet stay open?" The entire room went silent. The captain, bless his heart, paused for a second and said, "Ma'am, if the ship is sinking, I promise you that obtaining a slice of pizza will be the least of your concerns." She seemed genuinely disappointed that she wouldn't be able to snack during a maritime disaster. I watched a woman at the guest services desk trying to return a piece of art she bought at the onboard auction. Her reason was that it didn't match her sofa back home. The poor crew member explained that all sales are final. She started screaming, "You ruined my living room! You ruined my life!" She then proceeded to sit on the floor of the lobby and refused to move until they took the painting back. Security had to lift her up. A young couple got caught doing adult activities in one of the public hot tubs at 2 p.m. There were kids swimming in the pool right next to them. When security told them to stop and get out, the guy said, "We paid for the romance package. Doesn't that include everywhere on the ship?" They were banned from all pool areas for the rest of the trip and had a security guard shadow them. On a cruise to Norway, a passenger complained that the fjords were too rocky and blocking the view of the horizon. He wanted to know if the captain could steer further away from the land so he could see more ocean. The entire point of a fjord cruise is to see the cliffs and mountains close up. He basically complained that the scenery was getting in the way of the water. I worked in the onboard casino. A guy lost about $500 at the blackjack table and started accusing the dealer of being a robot. He reached over the table and tried to grab the dealer's face to pull off the mask. He was dead serious. He thought the cruise line replaced humans with realistic robots to cheat the customers. He was escorted out yelling, "I know your wires are in there." There was a notorious passenger we called the Towel Thief. By day 4, housekeeping noticed that hundreds of pool towels were missing. Security did a room check and found that one couple had stacked over 50 pool towels in their cabin to build a fort for their adult son to sleep in because he didn't like the sofa bed. The room smelled like damp mildew and chlorine. A woman called 911, or the ship equivalent, because she was trapped in her room. Security rushed over thinking there was a fire or a jammed door. Turns out she just couldn't figure out how to unlock the balcony door. There is a giant handle that you turn. She was pulling it instead of turning it. She demanded compensation for the emotional trauma of being trapped in a luxury cabin for 10 minutes. I saw a guy at the breakfast buffet filling his water bottle with orange juice. Not just a small cup, but a 2-gallon jug he brought from home. He was holding up the line for 5 minutes as the machine slowly trickled juice. When a staff member asked him to please use a cup, he said, "I paid for the drink package. I'm taking this home for my kids." We were on day 1 of a 7-day cruise. That juice is going to be vinegar by the time he gets home. We had a medical emergency where a helicopter had to lower a basket to airlift a sick passenger. It was a very tense, serious situation. A woman on the deck below was filming it with her iPad and got angry when a crew member told her to move back for safety. She yelled, "You're blocking my shot. I have 500 followers on Instagram. They need to see this." She prioritized her live stream over a dying man. A passenger asked me if the salt water in the pools was new water or recycled ocean. I explained it's filtered seawater. She got disgusted and asked, "So the whales pee in it?" I tried to explain filtration systems, but she wasn't having it. She demanded we fill the pool with bottled water. She estimated it would take maybe 20 or 30 bottles. Try 30,000 gallons, lady. The entitlement of Diamond Plus members is insane. One guy came to the private lounge and saw that we were out of the specific brand of crackers he liked. He told the concierge, "Do you know who I am? I have spent 300 days at sea. I want you to go down to the crew mess and get me crackers, or I will have your job." The concierge had to run to a grocery store at the next port, just to buy this guy his special crackers. A group of college spring breakers thought it would be funny to prank the elevators. They went to every single floor and pressed the buttons for every single floor. The ship has 18 decks. This caused a massive gridlock where elderly people with walkers were stuck waiting for 20 minutes. When security caught them on camera, they were fined $500 each for disrupting ship operations. A lady ordered a steak, medium rare, at the steakhouse. When it arrived, she poked it and said it was too pink. They cooked it more. She said it was too tough. They made a new one. She said the cow didn't taste happy. She literally said, "This cow died sad. I can taste the cortisol." She made the waiter take it back and bring her a salad. then complained that the lettuce was too leafy.